Hello, and welcome to the My Old Car video log, where I document how I maintain, repair, and occasionally make upgrades to my 1974 Chevrolet Monte Carlo that's been my daily driver since 1984. With dedication and tenacity, you too can make your first car your forever car and drive it forever. Before I get started, if you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe. Furthermore, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Every gearhead will agree that the more information you have about engine operation, the better you can diagnose problems and administer adjustments, repairs, and modifications. One useful piece of information to have is fuel pressure. Now I'm going to be installing this gauge just for that purpose. A quick overview of fuel pressure and flow. Pressure is the force that pushes fuel through the system, while flow rate is the volume of fuel that moves through the system over time. Now, when fuel leaves the pump down there, it flows through a tube which in and of itself acts as a orifice and restricts flow. So each bend in this tube further reduces flow, and then things like a screen or filter will also restrict flow. Every connection and junction reduces flow. While the engine is running, the pressure produced by the fuel pump will always be more than the pressure observed at the carburetor. Now, the most ideal point to measure fuel pressure is inside here at the base of the inlet valve, also known as the needle and seat, which is inside the carburetor. Now, that's not really feasible or practical without some imaginative re-engineering to the carb. So I'll be installing this gauge right here in that plug. So it's we're just gonna have to take that carb off and get started. Now I've marked the center of this plug, which by the way is made of aluminum, and we'll be drilling that out for the pressure gauge. Let's go ahead and put it in here. Everything lined up and go on. All right, I'm ready to drill a hole with a letter R. Specify that it's a letter R bit. And I covered the rest of the carb to prevent chips from getting in. Now I'm going to be using the screwdriver not only to keep the mechanic's towel in place, but to prevent the drill bit from catching and pulling this towel up through the hole. So here we go. I dare say now it's time to tap this thing. I already put just a little bit of lubricant on the tap, not in the hole. Now I'm going back and forth because for every little cut that I make, I want to make sure that the threads are all cleaned up behind it. Alright, let's clean it up and test fit the gauge. Alright, we're ready to install the gauge. Now, while I had this thing off, I actually opened it up and replaced I forgot what they call it, that phenolic or nitrophenol, whatever, float that looks like foam. And I put in a brass one. I didn't show that because, dude, there are like hundreds of the rebuild carburetor or the Quadrajet videos, and you know, any of those will show you how to do what I did with regards to the float. This, you know, and I'm not doing anything special with that. So now with that said, I'm going to be using this Moto Seal gasket maker by Permatex number 2, it looks like 29132, and that's because this stuff is fuel resistant. I use it on every single item that is going to be in contact with the fuel system, and this is obviously not going to be any sort of exception. So go ahead and put a little bit of that on here. That looks almost like it's too much. Let's see. There we go. Well, to say the least, it is now on there. There we go. Actually, doesn't look too bad. Well, looks like I got enough, you know, good enough thread on there. But, you know what, if it doesn't work out and I need to push it in more, I can always take it off and tap it a little bit further. Let's get that inlet on there. Get this thing back, you know, assembled. Well, there it is. It's all done. Actually looks pretty good. Now to reinstall the carb, you just simply reverse all of the, you know, the way you took it off. Just do it in reverse, and that's it's the, you know, put the carb back on. But yeah, let's see here. Okay. All right, let's see what, you know, make sure it's not gonna leak. Well, she's running, and check for leaks. There don't seem to be any. I'm digging it, and I don't know if I can do this. There it is. I think that's as close as much as I can zoom it. There you can see that the fuel pressure is reading as I expected it, you know, with a non-liquid filled gauge. I expected it to be bouncing around like that, jumping around a bit. So anyway, I would call this a success. If you enjoyed the video and found it useful, please be sure to click the like button. Now if you'll excuse me, I think it's time for a drive.